I'll actually just start with a general introduction anyway, while we're waiting for some more people to come on. So this is, I call it our new user Q&A and training. However, it's really for anyone. So at any point down the line, I do this every 2 weeks. Everybody's always welcome to join with any questions that they have about Lead Sherpa. So whether you're a new user or whether you've been around for a while, that's completely fine. Everyone is welcome to join. Also, any questions are welcome, even if you think I've probably covered it in past webinars, or if we've covered it in the Facebook group or anything. If you're just confused about anything at all, we want everything to be crystal clear for you. So always just let me know what questions you have. While we're waiting for some more people to come on here, if anybody already has some questions, you can just pop it in the chat box, and then I'll get to it as soon as we officially get started. We do have about 45 minutes. This little waiting time cuts into it a little bit, so we'll call it 40 minutes, just completely live Q&A. So if you guys don't have any questions for me to start, then I do always have just kind of a little backup schedule about things people have been asking about recently, or just some common questions that I can discuss. But just any questions you guys have, you can either put it in the chat right now, or you can always unmute yourself as well and just hop right in, because sometimes I start to explain things for a while and I'm not looking at the chat actively while I'm talking. And so if you ever want to just unmute yourself and pop in and cut in, if something's not clear for you, then you can do that as well. All right, so we have quite a few of you online already, so I think that we're good to get started. So I'm just going to exit out of this PowerPoint slide here. I'm going to pull up Lead Sherpa. So this is our personal Lead Sherpa account. We recently, you'll notice here, we're not super active on it recently, only because we've been so busy with you guys and actually redesigning the software completely. So we're calling it Sherpa 2.0. We're going to be releasing sometime in January, we believe. No exact ETA just yet, because we're completely rebuilding everything from the ground up. It's going to look completely different, but also have a lot of new exciting features. So that's what we're really focusing on right now, and not actually using the system ourselves for the texting side of things. So that's why you see not that much activity here. We do have a pending one waiting to go here, because we are going to start getting back into it. Because it brings us so many leads and generates Jason a lot of deals. He only does all of his deals through Lead Sherpa, but that's just the explanation about why you see not so much activity here. So let's pop into our chat here and see if you guys have any questions for me. Okay, great. Question about Number Manager. I'm a new user, month 1. Welcome, yay. Okay, do I need to manually rotate numbers, or does the system rotate numbers for us? It rotates for you. It automatically will select the numbers as you're just shooting out your messages. So for anybody who isn't aware, this Number Manager here, by the way, also I have some extra tabs here that you guys won't have. So don't worry if you don't have something called like Market Manager or Account Manager, because that's just for me as an admin. But here you see all of our numbers. We keep a lot of numbers. We've also released a lot of numbers, because as the health goes down, or if we've had them for a long time, we like to release them and keep the numbers fresh. So you can see all of the numbers in your account here. If you're just starting off, you probably just have 20 phone numbers. So you can go here and check your activity, but no, this Number Manager, you don't have to actually select which numbers are being used in a campaign. Just as you're sending out the messages, it will automatically rotate through the numbers for you as you're sending them along. And then as soon as a prospect replies, that number that you initially used for them will stick to them. For follow-ups, if they've never replied, it will come from a new phone number. But once they reply, your phone number will stick to them. But other than that, this Number Manager is just for you to watch health, deactivate numbers, and release numbers, and buy new numbers when you're ready as well. Okay, we have multiple acquisition managers that are tasked with using Lead Sherpa. Do you recommend separate campaigns for each acquisition manager, and suggestions on sharing Lead Sherpa marketing between acquisition managers? Okay, so short answer, yes, absolutely. The best practice for having numerous users on an account. Hang on, I'm just going to manage. We're going to mute everyone. and turn off everyone's camera. Sorry about that. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, so definitely the way to do it if you have more than one person actually using the system is to create different campaigns. So say for my demo example, maybe I had a pre-foreclosure list initially, and then when I'm importing it into the system, I actually want to split that into two separate lists if I have two people who are working on it. So then I would have pre-foreclosure A and another one that says pre-foreclosure B, and I would have Allison and then John or whoever on the other one. And this is just to keep everything separate. You don't want to be confused about who's messaging who sent what messages. Also, it's just easier to track stats and things like that, to just create separate campaigns completely for each person. It's best practice that way for many different reasons. In the new Sherpa 2.0, you'll actually be able to own and assign campaigns, which right now you can, in campaign settings, give access to specific users. However, this setting will be a little bit more advanced in Sherpa 2.0, and in your campaigns list, the campaign organization will be a lot different as well. And so you'll be able to go to campaigns and then just go to my campaigns if you'd like, or you can look at other people's campaigns. They will be actually separated into different folders, and you guys can customize the folders as you want as well. If you just, maybe only one person's on the account, but maybe you have a folder for initial campaigns with their follow-up campaigns, and that's just one specific folder, and then another list that you have that list and its follow-up campaigns. So just campaign organization overall will have a lot more customization options here. But yes, so when more than one person is working on it, definitely separate them into two separate campaigns. It's just easier across the board that way. Let's see here. Okay, back to the question about numbers. I watched a video by Jason saying to buy more numbers if not in your monthly budget. Do I need more numbers if I'm new? And how many numbers can I have included with the $500 per month account? So if you're on $500 per month, you will have 20 phone numbers in your account. You can buy additional phone numbers in your number manager. So when you go here, you can click new. Select market if you're in more than one market. And then maybe you want to buy 20 phone numbers. They're $2 each, and you'll pay that fee as soon as you're purchasing those numbers because it's to activate them. But then there's also a maintenance fee for them each month on your billing. So $40 will then be added to your monthly billing amount. So if you're on $500 a month subscription, you have 20 phone numbers, you want to add 20, so then your monthly subscription will also be $540 because you're paying for those extra 20 numbers. It's definitely a good thing to do. 20 numbers is the absolute minimum we suggest that you have. If you're brand new, that's okay. Your list is probably still pretty healthy, but once you're using those numbers a lot and done quite a few campaigns, you might see your delivery start to drop or the health in your numbers start to drop. And so the more numbers, always the better. Whatever your budget can handle for numbers, I would say do, because you're just going to get through to that many more people, and perhaps that will help it pay off even more because you're going to reach that person who's going to be a deal for you. So if $40 a month doesn't hurt you extra, then I would say have 40 phone numbers, and it will help you across the board. Also, if you do just want to keep it at your normal monthly billing amount, so $500 a month, and so you have 20 phone numbers, but maybe the delivery rate is really low, you've been using the same numbers for a while, you can then release all of the phone numbers and replace it with 20 new phone numbers. Then your monthly billing will stay the same. You're still going to have to pay that one-time fee to activate them, but when you release numbers, it brings your billing down, and then when you add numbers, it brings it back up. So as long as you have 20 numbers at a time, it will stay $500 a month. The only thing I caution here, because I'm so easily talking about releasing numbers as if it's very easy, it is really easy, a little bit too easy, that say one of these last received dates said October 21st or 22nd, which was today or yesterday, I probably don't want to release that number yet. However, if I don't want to use it anymore and I want to let it cool off, that's what this deactivate button is for. So you can deactivate the number so that you still have the number in your account to continue conversations that that number is connected with. But it won't be used to start any new conversations. So that will just allow you to wrap up conversations. And then once these dates are a week or so behind, then you're free to release the number because you're probably not going to get any more new activity on that number, if that makes sense. If I'm just going too quickly, or if anybody wants to jump in, you can just unmute yourself and jump in if that sparks a question for you at all. Based on the rates, how can I increase my response rate after 1,000 texts with only 17% response, 76% which are auto dead? So the auto dead response, there's not that much you can do about that. You just happen to be reaching people who are not interested. You should definitely be going through the auto dead. Just in case you're not, it's important to note that you should be going through them periodically, because some messages could be wrongly filtered. So the word not will filter something to the auto dead, because typically it will say not for sale or not interested or whatever, but occasionally it could say not sure, but can you tell me more, or something like that. And then you want to be able to catch those and put them back into your normal messages and not your dead folder. So definitely go through your auto dead. However, in general, for response rate, the thing that we're in more control of and are able to give advice on is things to keep your delivery rate high. However, response rate, it's really up to the prospect to actually respond to you. So the thing that you can help response rate with a bit is the actual format of your message. So are you ending your template with a question? Because a question will definitely get a better response rate, because if you're saying, did I reach the right person? Or are you interested in selling, or whatever, then that actually gives them a reason to reply, because it's just the form of the question that's going to prompt them to send a reply. So always end your template in a question. Other things that can affect response rate are if you are using a area code, a phone number with a specific area code to send messages to maybe a nearby market with that same phone number, but maybe it has a different area code. So that's why we have both Denver and Pueblo in here, even though they're both Colorado. We want to use 720 numbers because prospects just respond better to a local phone number. So we use our 720 numbers to contact 720 and 719 to contact 719. You can technically use your 720 to then message a 719. There's no problem with that, but you're going to get a better response rate with a local phone number. So you can add additional markets to your account in your account settings page, just in the markets module. It is $100 per month additional. So you'll have a button here that says request new market. And so you can just request it there, and that will actually get you local phone numbers to that market. And you'll get a much better response rate with local phone numbers. So just a few things like that. It's just whatever influences the actual prospect to reply. That's the only thing that has an effect on response rate. So end it with a question, have a local phone number, etc. Anything else? Also, it depends on the kind of list that you're texting as well. We find that texting doesn't work well with probate lists. It's the only kind of list that we really stay away from. People just don't really reply to those messages for kind of obvious reasons. They're just not in the kind of state to want to reply to a text message about somebody buying the house. For those kind of lists, maybe also change what your template says according to who you're sending the message to. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more sensitive, and you can test the different kinds of templates that you're sending and see what gets a better response rate. So that is really my answer for that. Again, you guys can just jump in and unmute yourself if you need to, if I'm speaking too quickly, or if you just have another question that is prompted from what I am saying. On to
Good
Tony.
morning.
Oh, good morning.
So I just want to make sure that I'm using, like, because all the different responses, I wanted
Yep.
to show my screen and see what you think, if I'm doing the responses correctly and so forth. So is it possible I can show my screen and we can walk through that real quickly?
I will keep sharing my screen, but I can go to your account if that's okay with you.
Okay, cool.
So let's see here. Tony Horner, right?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, excellent. Now, the only thing I do want to caution with everybody else listening for this, it's good, of course, to do kind of a trial to walk through. However, if you see the templates that Tony is actually sending and you think, oh, that's a great template, I want to copy that, please don't. You can use that as maybe an influence to what you're sending. But if our users are using this exact same templates, then you're all going to kill your numbers. Your delivery rate's going to be low and you're going to be marked as spam. So that's why we don't tell you guys exactly what to say, because we don't want all of our users saying the same thing. That's the only thing I'm going to caution when going through somebody else's account here. So let's see. Let's go into your campaigns. And which campaign should I go into?
Going to the ones today that I did. Yep.
This one here?
Uh-huh.
The top? Okay.
What for the status? Does 100% status mean that that's what's uploaded or what's left
The
to send?
status, exactly. It's how far along you are in the campaign. So if you still have text messages left to send, it won't be at 100%. We do have a known bug with that occasionally it will say, oh, you have 40 messages left to send. And then you go into the campaign and then there's nothing here left to send. As long as you see this like this, it means your campaign is complete. Because it's not a super serious bug. It's on our list of things to change, but we're working so much on the system right now with other important things that we just haven't gotten to it yet. But yeah, if everyone is confused about that status, if it says you aren't complete yet, but there's nothing to send here, you're complete. Just ignore the status there.
So I had 393 actual numbers uploaded. Is that correct?
So here, mobile numbers, yeah. So
Right.
you uploaded 440 prospects. So this is the amount that probably came out of your monthly upload limit. It's possible that some of those were duplicates and already existed in your account. And so if they did, then they wouldn't come out of your upload limit. But this is the amount of properties basically you've put into this campaign. Out of that, there was 1,022 total phone numbers, because each person can have up to 3 phone numbers. And then out of those, 393 were mobile, which is a pretty average ratio. It tells us that almost all of your prospects have a mobile number at least. There's a few who didn't, which still count against your upload limit. But basically 35% mobile out of phone numbers is a pretty good ratio to have. So if you guys do skip somewhere else, or you got your phone numbers some other way and you're not sure about the amount of mobiles that you have, you can upload a small portion of your list first, and maybe all of them will be landlines. If you upload just 100 phone numbers and maybe 100 are landlines and 0 mobiles, then that's not great, because you just took 100 prospects out of your monthly upload limit and you can't even use them in Sherpa. So if you're not sure of the quality of the data, always do like a small portion of your list first before uploading 5,000 prospects or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is
What's
just
our maximum upload for 500 numbers? From 500 a month? 10,000?
10,000 prospect uploads each month. And so each of those prospects, again, can have up to 3 phone numbers. So if John Doe has 3 phone numbers, it's still just going to count as 1 prospect upload, no matter if all 3 are landlines, all 3 are mobiles, or some other variation.
I can't wait till I get to that 10,000 uploads. Yeah.
You'll get there. You'll get there. All right. What are we looking at here, Tony?
So I started off with 393, obvious, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I sent different initial messages. So this created, I don't know why I got 4 batches. It just automatically did that. I don't know if it's because I sent additional different initial messages? Is that why I
Well,
got
so
4
it will
batches?
automatically batch out them for you. So even if you send 20 Monday, 20 Tuesday, 20 each day of the week, that will still end up showing as one batch of 100 because it doesn't complete until you've sent 100 messages. So even if it's over 5 different days, 20
Got it.
messages each, it's
Got
going
it.
to all have whatever the most so if in that example,
Okay.
if you're doing it Monday to Friday, it will have Friday's date here with
Mhm.
100 sent. And then so
Got it.
you can see here there was 100. Sometimes this
Uh-huh.
is a little bit off for some reason, but
Yep.
377 messages out of the 393. And so that's
Yeah.
because you had some on your DNC that were skipped, some litigators that were removed. And also if you are verifying the owner as you go along, it will kill associated numbers associated with that property as well. So that's why you don't have 393 attempts here, because some things are taken out along the way.
Okay. So if we go into my text, into
Response
all
received?
these, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So response received, and it just seems like the only thing that I'm pretty clear on the videos is you verify the owner and then the do not call.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how can I what's the best practices
For
on
everything
using,
else?
yeah, like follow up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all of the lead stages are kind of up to you guys to use as you'd like. When you get a new message, it will go to your unread folder. And then as soon as you read it, it will be marked as response received. Make offer, follow up, appointment, cold. That's all up for you to do as you wish. So you'll figure that out the more that you do more texting, how you
Mm-hmm.
want to filter things. The thing with cold now is that in Sherpa 2.0, you will be able to follow up on cold leads. Right now, the way that Sherpa is, you cannot, because if anybody ever replied to a message before, you can't send them another initial message again. You can message back and forth within here as much as you want, but you can't do a complete new follow-up campaign with cold leads because they've replied before. So, but now in Sherpa 2.0, you will be able to. So you guys should be a little bit more diligent about marking prospects cold. So if it's been some time that's gone by, or if you followed up a few times or something like that, then you can mark them cold, and then you'll be able to create a whole new campaign with all of your cold prospects and then send out a new initial bulk message in that new Sherpa 2.0, which is launching sometime in January. Refer to agent, that's again up to you. If I don't know if you have an agent that you have a
Yeah,
contract with.
sure.
Yeah, so that's just up to you again to mark as you wish. And then the good thing about the lead stages is that when you're in the actual campaign here, you can then filter
By lead stage.
by lead stage, and not just to view them, but you can actually export the CSV. So then you can use that file in, I don't know,
Oh,
maybe you
yeah.
want to send them, maybe you want to RVM or cold call them then, or do whatever. You can export by lead stage here. So if you had some appointment here, you could then click export CSV, and then it would export only the people who are at appointment.
Okay.
So that is what's good about lead stages. For priority, what this will do.
Hey, Allison.
Yep.
Quick follow-up to that. Can you create your own lead stages, or it's just what's there?
In Sherpa 2.0, you will be able to. Right now, it's just what's there, but in the new system, you're going to be able to not only create your own lead stages, so finally you'll be able to mark people wrong number, which you cannot do right now, which I know lots of people ask about, but you'll also be able to tag people as well, and then you can export lists based on the tags or the lead stages or whatever you want to do. It will be a lot more customizable and manageable in the new system.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So for priority, this is an important one for you guys to be using, because I know lots of people say, oh, I just sent a message to somebody and now I can't find the message. I can't remember what their name was. And now I have to go through all of my response received messages just to find that one message. But if you're in here and say, this was like a really important response or they're very interested, you can mark them as priority. And then we'll go back out here. and they're always going to stay on this default unread page. So even though you've read the message, they're going to stay in this unread/is priority. And then also when you are on your campaigns list, this little orange flag will be on the campaign so that you know you have a message in there that's marked as priority, and it will just remind you to follow up on them or do whatever you want with them. So that just kind of keeps it more easy to follow up with.
I'm glad I asked, because that was
Yes.
pretty cool. We're going to need that.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the easiest way to keep an eye on someone. Of course, then you can push them into your CRM as well if you'd like. I'll take her off priority because you don't need that. For qualified lead, this is obviously once you've qualified the lead, and maybe you want to set up a SMS relay. And to do that, you should qualify the lead and then click whoever you want to set up the relay with. And so that is in order to then continue the conversation from your cell phone, but using the same Sherpa phone number. So it would look to them as if it was still coming from this phone number, but you're actually sending messages from your phone. So that's once you set up the relay.
So like if we're walking out and don't want to.
Yeah, if you don't have access to your computer and they're a hot lead and you want to continue the conversation, or if you have a lead manager working the system for you and there's somebody who's really hot, then they can connect it to your cell phone. So I could right now send that to your cell phone if I wanted to, as long as they're on qualified lead. And then you get a notice to your phone saying this person has been connected to your cell phone, and you'll also get a link back to the prospect page as well. So maybe your lead manager hasn't told you about it yet or anything. You can click on the prospect page and it will take you here on your cell phone, and then you'll be able to read the conversation, but then you'll be able to actually just be texting them from your normal texting software on your phone.
That's nice.
Yeah. So then finally, the last thing's over here, reminder. So you can set this if you want to follow up with somebody, or for whatever reason you have a reminder, you will get an email reminder. So this is whoever is actually setting the reminder will get the email reminder. In Sherpa 2.0, we're going to have it so that, you know, if you have a lead manager and they want to send you the email reminder, then they'll be able to do that. But right now it's whoever is logged in will receive the email reminder. And then finally, email push to CRM or push to Zapier. Those are obvious selections if you have a CRM, which you should, or if you have a Zapier account to push over to your CRM, then you can use those to push the prospect over whenever you're ready for that.
Nice.
Yes.
That really helped.
Yeah. And you guys can see all of your activity here as well. So if somebody was added to the DNC, so let's just quickly add her. You can now see I added her. You can see who added them to the DNC if you have anybody else working your account, and when, and the past activity there. Yeah. Nice.
In my campaigns, how would I delete a whole campaign? There's that. This one right here with the with the numbers, the fourth one down.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's nothing in there. There's one of them that doesn't have any prospects. So I just want to get rid of the whole thing.
So you can't actually delete anything from Sherpa. Nothing is deletable, and that's what helps us with doing the matching of prospects so that you guys aren't charged again for duplicates. However, if there is one that you want to clear out or whatever, you can always archive them. So this little trash can, say archive campaign. And then, so we archive the campaign and it's still there, but it's just cleaner for your list organization. It takes a second to archive. And then we go here. You can view your archive campaigns, which you have quite a few already, actually. But then we can reactivate the campaign if we want as well. You guys can also get messages into your archived campaigns. And so if there was one that you were fairly active on, but you haven't had any really recent activity, you want to archive it, you can. But you should periodically go in and check your archived campaigns for unread messages because they won't pop back into here if they're archived. But in Sherpa 2.0, again, we will have just a general unread messages box for across all campaigns, archived, active. You won't have to go into the separate campaigns. It will just be unread messages and they'll all be there. So that will be another improvement as well.
Hey, Allison.
Yep.
Just going back to the relay. So
Mhm.
if I relay the message to my cell phone, how will it pop? How will it show on my cell phone? Just the person's phone number. It won't say like this is coming from Sherpa.
It will say this relay has been connected, and you'll be able to see the messages in this stream and in your console. So it will be obvious that it's something from Sherpa, and then it will have a link back to the Sherpa page as well. And then you just message back and forth within that text
Got
block.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick. Thank you.
Yeah. And then so we actually had a question today. Somebody had reached all of their relays, because you can have 100 relays at a time, which typically you probably don't actually need 100 relays at a time unless you're a really, really big account and you have 100 hot leads at once, which is great. But you'll be able to see all of your relays here, and then you can click on the connections and release old ones as you want. I'll show you in our account, so that we get out of Tony's account here. So you can see there's 100 max. Again, we're not super active on the texting side of things right now, but Zach has some old ones in here. So you can always click to view them. You have their information here, and then you can actually click through to their prospect page, but you can release old connections here. So if you have 100 and you need to add more, you can see, okay, this is a year old. I can obviously release that one, and you can release the relay. And then you can reset it up if you want as well, if you'd like. And the relay will set up to the phone number that you have with the user in the account settings page. So maybe you've put, I don't know, a landline here or something, which obviously it says mobile. It should be a mobile, but maybe you've put a landline, so that's not going to connect through to their cell phone. This has to be their cell phone number that you want the relay to go through to. Let's see if we have some more questions in the chat. Okay, so Tony, you also had a question about changing the campaign name, which is very, very simple. You just go to campaigns. You guys can always change your campaign settings after you've established the campaign, just by going into here, and then this wrench icon here. Allison, and I'll put my last name, Jokinen, to add to it, just to change it. You can change all the other settings here. For auto dead, you can select your zap if you haven't. When you create a follow-up campaign, even if the zap was created in the initial campaign, it won't auto select, so you'll have to go back and select the zap after it's created. But let's just change the name to have my last name in it. Save changes. And now it's already saved. So easy peasy.
Yep, real easy.
Cool. Okay, great. So is there a way to link Lead Sherpa to RE Simply? Are Zapier and Podio the only CRMs that work with Lead Sherpa? So Podio is a CRM. Zapier is not a CRM. Zapier, I guess, John, you must not have a Zapier account. It's free for your first 5 zaps. And so what that will do is, as long as RE Simply has a Zapier connection or compatibility, then you'll be able to, it's kind of the middleman. So we'll push the information to Zapier, and then Zapier will pick up the information and push it over to your CRM, which most CRMs do have Zapier compatibility. If they don't now, they probably will soon, because it's a very often used app. So that is the way that most people are connecting their Lead Sherpa account with their CRM. So just go ahead and check if your CRM has Zapier compatibility, and as long as it does, then you'll be able to push your information over. If not, then we don't at this time have any sort of additional API or anything, though we are working on it. Any other questions? Yep.
Hey,
Jump
Allison.
in. Mm-hmm.
Quick question, unrelated to what you were just talking about. Is that all right?
No problem. Yep. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering if there's like a best practices video that already exists, or some post that already exists, or maybe you could talk about it on best practices for what kind of information you guys in your company typically try to extract by text before you move to like a phone call, or just push for the appointment or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have best practices videos. However, They're more for the actual texting. But you can search it here. This first one, messaging, best practice, and delivery rate. But we do touch in that video a bit on just the general texting, on what you should say, the information that you're getting from anyone. But then we also have our personal flow. If we go to the Facebook group, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, if anybody's not, you should be, because we have lots of information here, but also community support as well. So it's a pretty active user community. But here we have our messaging flow in the files tab of the Facebook user group. And so it's a little bit outdated, but we still follow the same general flow. So first we establish contact, then these are the common answers that we get back. And then depending on that, we move through the flow. And this is actually still what our VA follows himself. And it's a good thing if you're growing your company or adding people to your company, for you to have your own one of these. So of course, use this as an example if you'd like, but you should build out your own, because everybody wants different things for their own accounts. But that way it can be really clear what you want from the people who are using your account, doing the texting for you, and how they should reply. And so this is how we got our VA. He's now amazing. He's an expert texter, and gets Jason a lot of leads. He does a minimum of 2,500 messages a day, sometimes up to 5,000 messages a day just on his own. And he's in the Philippines, but he just follows this, and it's really easy to follow. And once your team starts doing it for a while, they'll really get the hang of it. But just definitely go here, because this tells you exactly what information we're getting from them, and then how we follow the flow from there. And pretty much every conversation is like, there's just an X amount of different types of conversations that we have with people. They pretty much all always follow the same kind of flow, unless somebody's crazy. So take a look at that in the Facebook group. And then if you have more questions after that, you can ask us. And then you can also post in the Facebook user group and ask how other people respond in certain situations and things like that as well.
Okay, this is cool. Thanks, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Allison.
Yes.
2,500 messages
a day. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
A minimum. That's the absolute minimum that he's sending when we're really working the system. Like I said, right now we're doing more of the software side of things and rebuilding everything. But
where did the list come from? I mean, in 10 days, it's 25,000 people.
Well, so it's 2,500 messages. And so that's not 2,500 people per day, because each person can have up to 3 phone numbers. Yeah. And so that's the actual messages that are going out. But still, it's a lot. It's still a lot of people, but we're reaching that many more people. You do have to have then more of an investment on the lists and things like that, but it ends up paying off that much quicker as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that brings up a good point. If we have 3 phone numbers, is Sherpa automatically going through all 3, or is this something we have to monitor?
Good. I'm glad you asked that, because it's something that lots of people are always confused about. Even if they've been with us for months and months, they still don't quite get it. So let's say John Doe has phone number 1, 2, and 3. Let's say phone number 1 and 2 are mobiles and 3 is a landline. We're pushing from skip trace or we're uploading direct into campaign, doesn't matter. All 3 phone numbers are going to be uploaded. It will just count, say we only have him on the list. This will just say 1 prospect then. It will say 2 mobile, 1 landline. Then here, queued up, will be the 2. And not the landline, of course, because it's just going to be the mobile. We do another actual phone type lookup upon import. So skip trace can be wrong up to 10% of the time. So when you're uploading into a campaign, we re-verify the phone number type with 100% accuracy. So then your mobile numbers will be queued up. And if it says John Doe here, you're going to click once. That's just going to send to that 1 phone number. And then John Doe phone number 2 will be, if it's just him in this campaign, he would be right after it. But if it's a larger campaign, obviously with more people, it more randomizes the numbers. It actually goes through all of the phone number 1 column first, and then phone number 2 column, and then phone number 3 column. So John Doe Mobile 1 is going to be toward the beginning of the campaign. John Doe Mobile 2 is going to be toward the middle of your campaign. And if he has a Mobile 3, it will be toward the end of the campaign. And so when you're clicking to send to John Doe, it's not sending to 3 phone numbers in one click. The other 2 are just in queue down the line in the campaign. And so that gives you the chance to actually reach John Doe on phone number 1. Then you verify the owner if you do reach him, and it will kill the other numbers associated with the property that are in queue so that you don't end up then reaching people who you already know are the wrong number. They won't be messaged. But so they're all in queue, not right after another, but they're all going to be uploaded into the campaign for messaging. And so that's why you see here 58 prospects, but 160 mobile. And so they were all 160, except for minus the DNC and litigators. They were all queued up for messaging.
What if all 3 of his phone numbers work and we went through it, let's say we went through it, he's going to get 3 initial messages on 3 phone numbers, huh?
That's why it's really important to verify the owner as you're going along. Because as soon as you click verify owner, even if they're in queue already, it's going to skip them when it gets to those. So if phone number 1, typically, some people, I guess, could have 3 mobile numbers. I know I technically do not. I know my husband has a mobile number, and my dad has a mobile number. And so it's probably me, and then my husband, and then my dad. But if you reach me on phone number 1, click verify owner, and then you won't end up messaging my husband and my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Quick follow-up to that.
Yep.
If you get a response that's kind of like wishy-washy, you're not really sure, they just kind of say like, leave me alone or something like that.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage that?
Yeah, if it's not really obvious to us, we won't verify the owner because we don't want to then kill the number that is the actual owner down the line. So if it's really wishy-washy, but if they're being kind of hostile and you don't want to message them anymore, I wouldn't verify the owner and then I would just move on. But if they say, if they imply it's the right person, but then they're hostile or something, you verify the owner because you reached the right person, but then you add them to the ENC so that you don't contact them again. But if it's wishy-washy, if it's really, really not obvious, but you don't want to continue the conversation, I would leave it and just carry on. And then hopefully it's more obvious when I get to the right person on phone number 2 or 3.
Do you guys kind of manage your language to increase do you say like, as opposed to, would you like to hear an offer? They could just say no, even if it's a wrong number. Or like, do you own such and such property might elicit a more telling response. Do you guys do that,
we have different templates. So you should have at least 10 different templates that you're rotating through every few hundred messages that you're sending. And then you'll be able to tell your response rates and just the kind of replies that you're getting on kind of different templates. So if you get a reply that's kind of more hostile or just like not great or not getting the information you need, you can see in the prospect page, okay, I used this template and it's not really getting me the information I need. Maybe I need to make some changes to this template, and then you go in and make the changes. So that's kind of a more of a preference thing, depending on the kind of information you're getting back and things like that. But you can always make changes and test it. And this is actually something else that's really great about Sherpa 2.0 is that when you're in your batches here, you're going to be able to click on the batch and see exactly what template was being used. So you're going to see, okay, this had a great delivery rate. This had a great response rate. What template did I use? And then you can see there. And you're also going to have a tab or a setting where you can see your different templates and see the kind of stats that they're getting, the kind of batches just in one general view of all of your templates as well. So you can see if you want to make changes to templates that aren't performing well and things like that.
Okay, one other follow-up is like I have a list of properties that likely belong to investors, and sometimes they own multiple properties. So if I upload that list, will the system kind of be intelligent enough to pick up that even though it's a different property address, that it belongs to the same person?
So a phone number can only exist in your Sherpa account one time with one address. So the first time you contact somebody, because their phone number is not going to change. Their phone number is probably going to stay the same because they have one mobile phone number, even though they have different properties. But maybe on campaign A, you import them with 123 Main Street. You send them a message that says, are you interested in selling 123 Main Street? Then you upload them on another campaign, campaign B.
Or they may be on the same campaign is what
It
I'm
could
getting
be,
at.
yeah. So that, I mean, you would probably just end up saying, I'm interested in purchasing 123 Main Street. And then they could say, because of the nature of their kind of business as well, they would say, this one's not for sale, but I have others. Like the conversation is going to go that way. But the way that it is in Sherpa, it's just going to be that one phone number with one address.
Okay, so let's say I have that conversation with that person and they say, oh no, 123 is not for sale, but XYZ is. I have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I'll probably end up, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll probably end up texting that person again when it hits that other property later on, or a third property or something like that.
Only if you've imported them on a new campaign. In the same campaign, because it's just the one phone number that exists, you're only going to text that person that one time in that campaign. But if you upload them on another campaign down the line with the same phone number but a different address, it will re-import into the new campaign, and then you will probably message them again. As of right now, again, if anybody has ever replied, then you're not going to be able to send another initial message again anyway. The message is going to be skipped. Because that's to avoid, having conversations with people that you already have conversations with. But the only thing that I was going to point on there is that you can clone a prospect. So if you want a different phone number, but with the same details, or you can change names here as well. You can make some edits to the properties and things like that through cloning prospect or editing the name. So that's if they have different addresses or anything like that, then you can make those edits, or you can re-import again on a new CSV with the same phone number but a new address, and then it will edit the prospect in Sherpa with the new information.
Okay, great. Thanks for
All
that.
right, no problem. Okay, we are actually just a little bit over time here. So anyone who does have any questions left, you can just send an email to support@leadsherpa.com, or if you want other users' advice on things, you can always post it in the Facebook user group. It's a very active user community, and people are always super helpful there. So any questions you have, you guys can go ahead and follow through with those. And I will host this webinar again in 2 weeks, and I hope you'll join me all again. Thanks for joining me, everyone.